Hey guys and welcome back to part 3 to What If Naruto Learned to Control the Fox's Chakra. If you just want to know what happened last part, then I'll be linking in the description down below, which take you to a place where you can watch the previous 2 parts in order. And or you can watch this one all the way through until the end, where then on the on-screen card, if you click on the top left-hand corner, a something that card will take you to the exact same playlist that the link in the description will take you to. With that out of the way, let's get into this. Or at least somewhat. Something else I wanted to say was that part 2 was meant to be as in some, or at least as somewhat in detail as it was. In other words, my plan for part 2 was to have it cover the 1 month period of time of training that they got and the tuning exams, with it ending at about the start of the Sound invasion. Yeah, of course, I didn't get to that, so my bad. Sorry, so let's get into that now. So, Naruto would sort of arrive at the sort of stadium, and he'd sort of look around as he would only really see maybe Gaara. Of course, Gaara and it's his brother and sister. Gaara's brother and sister, not his brother and sister. He doesn't have them. He doesn't have family. He's just all alone. Anyway, yeah, though as of course time into come on, everyone would that was meant to find would be there besides one other person. Well, 2 other people, Sasuke and I can't remember. But I wouldn't be able to remember his name as. I think Gaara killed him. Anyway, yeah, though from that the proctor would come out and they would of course walk in with the proctor. And yeah, and as seconds would tick by, as they would simply wait in the somewhat arena. And yeah, though after simply a few seconds the proctor would sigh, and Naruto would guess that this was the start of the of this training exams, and he hoped that Sasuke arrived before it was too late and he was disqualified. Then again, he didn't necessarily care. The only person he really cared about was kind of his sense of watching him somewhat kind of fight and beat this this prick's ass, Neji's ass. But of course, Kakashi would never seemingly arrive as the proctor would. Though of course some of the proctors, the proctor would state what he did in canon, and the other somewhat fighters would go up to the fighter somewhat box, and Naruto and Neji would stand somewhat apart as he would then start the match. With it initially going some similar, the first part of the fight would go similar to in canon, the only difference being when Naruto would pull on Fox's chakra instead of demanding it from it, and that is blank rant or that they did in canon. Of course, he had a different relationship with this 9-tailed fox. Yeah, so as he'd somewhat try and pull on his somewhat chakra, or a chakra, he'd somewhat go hitting somewhat 9 times as he'd shut his eyes, as Neji'd finally kind of finished ranting off, and of course from that Neji would activate somewhat Byakugan, and somewhat even somewhat go, though Kuma herself would just would open up at least would go just, or at least wouldn't say nothing more except for beat his ass, but got it. Hi, Naruto would mentally say, as he'd feel the Fox's chakra burst into his network and forcefully open all his tenketsu, all his chakra points. Once he would somewhat mentally rinse from the somewhat pain of having his chakra points being forcefully opened, as you could think of it somewhat as a door that somewhat, say, Hughes can somewhat just shut with, of course, a bit of force. Ninjas can open by picklocking the door, and somewhat, of course, the natural method would have been that they would naturally somewhat open, but the mind would naturally be able to unlock them after a set period of time. And somewhat then there was, somewhat the Ollie somewhat Fox, pretty much. What somewhat Fox did was pretty much just keep the freaking door open. And yeah. Anyway, so why that was a bit of pain, there. And yeah, anyway though, from there though, of course, somewhat unlike in canon where Neji and Naruto were equals once he pulled on the Fox chakra. Of course, this time Naruto wouldn't be because he'd use a bit more, he'd have bit more of Fox's chakra, he'd have greater control over it. And as well, he'd somewhat, and so as such, should be about 0.5 to 1% faster than Neji and about 1 to 2% faster, stronger than Neji, as such. Hugos would prioritize speed over so much strength. And then you have, so of course, Neji's on, Guy's team, who I believe is team 9, and as such, he'd be somewhat stronger. So it'd be around 1 to maybe 1.5 to probably around 1 to 1.5, somewhat, stronger. And yeah, and so from there, they would somewhat, of course, fight, and yeah, Neji, of course, somewhat would be somewhat momentarily, taken back from speed, and as they would somewhat fight, and that, of course, he'd be forced to, use rotation after rotation after rotation, as that would somewhat, of course, wear him down, and Naruto would think about using the Rasengan, as he'd, well, he did, do it sort of in both his hands, but he wouldn't, yeah. And though somewhat funny, or at least somewhat Neji would somewhat, or at least, as similarly Naruto would similarly charge him, Neji would somewhat smirk as he'd do some rotation. And similarly, somewhat, he'd slow down as he'd somewhat smirk as he'd similarly hit Naruto. A few seconds later, and poof, got wide-eyed, and then somewhat the next thing he knew, somewhat, Naruto would be similarly in front of him again. All of a sudden, be in front of him, and he'd just feel a somewhat pain in the side before he'd be flung sideways into the wall at somewhat decently high speed, and yeah, somewhat that would of course be somewhat clasps on that, and of course somewhat Hayashi would be somewhat shocked at that Hughes was the best in taijutsu, in hand-to-hand combat, and yeah, Naruto just managed to get inside of Neji's guard, take him somewhat off guard, and fleeing him hard enough to leave about a good somewhat like a quarter of an inch, somewhat crater in the wall, about an inch, about some half an inch to an inch, somewhat crater in the wall. Yeah, Neji would somewhat fall somewhat to the ground as he'd somewhat look up, as he couldn't believe he couldn't somewhat move, and this would and so he kind of come to sort of realise, like he would in canon, pretty much Neji would have, his Akhenaten, and the part did come over, check Neji's pulse to make sure, Naruto didn't somehow kill him from that force of impact, and part did then sort of say that, Naruto Uzumaki was the winner via knockout. And and so unlike in canon, whereas Naruto was jumped around, he wanted to, but he'd kind of keep it within side, side of him, and yeah, you just somewhat somehow, of course, the managers would come out, pick him up, pick Neji up, and would take him, and yeah, of course, that Naruto would let the Fox Chakra disband. Uzun would be somewhat surprised at the fact that Naruto was able to control the Fox's chakra and also managed to beat a Hyuga, or at least managed to beat seemingly the prodigy of the Hyuga clan. And yeah, and so sort from that, of course, once Neji wakened up, that whole thing would go down like in canon. Nothing would really change there. And yeah, and so from that, the rest of the fights would pretty much go like in canon, with nothing else really sort of changing up until the Sandtown invasion sort of begins. Yeah, so Naruto, Naruto would see sort of, Fairies like he did in canon, sort of falling down, and he'd be somewhat confused as sort of his eyes would, somewhat suddenly start to kind of somewhat nod off, and yeah, just as his eyes was finally about to somewhat shut, just as they would sort of shut, they would snap open as Naruto would slightly sort of gasp, he'd somewhat look around and go, what were the I need to hear the fox's somewhat voice Genjutsu. Somewhat slightly somewhat thanks, and yeah, he'd be somewhat confused as to kind of somewhat why, as he'd somewhat look and you'd see just hell break loose, and he'd sort of realise that he'd somewhat look at, and he'd almost immediately somewhat go to get up and jump back, jump off and run after Sasuke to try, but he'd know that he'd have to, instead it'd be best if he went to Kakashi and ask, what what should he do? And yeah, he'd sort of want to just jump over and chase after Sasuke, but he'd get up and he'd go over, he'd sort of start going over to where Kakashi, or at least some of that were, and around halfway there, somewhat, or at least somewhat as it'd be kind of, somewhat once, and obviously kunai somewhat in his hand, somewhat would all of a sudden somewhat be told, all of a sudden just somewhat, like hear the fox's voice again, this time telling him to somewhat just jump back now, unless you want to die. Though Naruto tried to jump back the second he had jumped back, and yeah, and he'd realise, kind of side there, he'd sort of realise, and he'd sort of gone past the person would come in, or at least and sort of person would just kind of go, "Got lucky that kid. Next time I want to miss." And Naruto would sort of realise that it was, and yeah, he'd realise the only way he was going to get to Kakashi is if he killed this person. And he'd taken a somewhat shaky breath as he'd sort of look at the person, and yeah, he'd sort of managed to, of course, pass him into swing again. Naruto would manage to catch it, and sort of that there'd be a smoke behind the person, and the actual person who was just sharp pain in the back as he'd go sort of wide-eyed before he'd fall on the ground, side, dead. And he'd taken another shaky breath as he'd somewhat nod to his shadow clothing, which he'd fallen out in hand signs. The somewhat, yeah. Though from there to Spyland, he'd carry going forward, though, 2/4 of the way there. 2/3 of the way there. He'd somewhat meet up with Sakura, tell it should be sort of surprised that Naruto was, awake, but she'd somewhat slightly ignore, and she'd go sort of 9 say, or at least sort of to go after Sasuke. Naruto would sort of nod, okay, let's go, as he's about to can't throw himself over those who'd go, and we kind of have to get Shikamaru as well. Nato just somewhat nod and well, yeah, he'd nod and he'd somewhat look over to the dog and he'd go Paku, and Nato would just somewhat blink and go hi. Something Paku, and yes, I could go somewhat like freaky, to which Nato would go well, not somewhat really. Should blink, should go, huh? What do you mean by that? We've got to go after Sasuke. You'd somewhat remind her and should go, right. And yeah, because from there they'd wake up Shikamaru, also, well, yeah. And somewhat the, same, and from there they would go off and they would sort of leave. And yeah, and so on, of course, sort of as they would enter into the thing, of course, Shikamaru, they'd sort of and would tell them, or at least somebody would stop, they would, of course, they would see that he'd stop, they'd kind of stop, and Shikamaru would tell them that they should carry on going forward as they're being, or at least they're being followed, and that he could kind of hold them off. And yeah, Nato was somewhat about, was about someone who'd stop, and yeah, in somewhat turn around as he'd go, he'd somewhat know that as much as Shikamaru may be able to hold them off, that he's pretty much, he's pretty much sacrificing himself, pretty much, and yeah, someone would look at Shikamaru and he'd go, if I were to by any chance, does your shadow thing jutsu or at least if they say were to get it, they cut that with that, resulting you getting one as well, or some of that. So Shikamaru would quack and but look at that kind of now, or at least they'd somewhat shake his head and they'd go, no. After someone just nod and go, good then, I'm staying. Someone would go, huh? Someone, what? But you'd just want to look at, or at least then someone would go, yeah, Nato, we kind of have to. So Nato would go, no, Sasuke can at the very least hold off for a bit longer by himself. Yeah, I'm not going to leave you to die, Shikamaru, to sacrifice yourself. But no buts. Shikamaru, you somewhat hold them once you've got them. You'd somewhat, I guess, kind of trick them that you're the only one, continued onwards there, and I'll somewhat come out as, well, I've kind of got something that, yeah, they would somewhat, Shikamaru would go, I know, somewhat, Shikamaru, I've got a jutsu that will kill them. Yeah, Shikamaru would somewhat nod and Sakura would go somewhat pale. Just go, though Nato would just somewhat look at her and she'd somewhat gulp as his eyes would harden, they'd be somewhat seemingly icy, and yeah, and go, so I'm doing this by myself. She'd couldn't help but just somewhat nod, and yeah, she'd go into some bits one side and somewhat do the other, and whilst I would somewhat wait, he'd just shut aside as he'd go, hey, somewhat, Fox, what do you want now, brat? Well, Bones, this guy, you somewhat about some of your chakra. And what percent if I somewhat say no, then, your plan will somewhat pop back then. But still, well, I'll just make a few shadow clones and, somewhat use the Rasengan on them instead. Fox would somewhat blink. Or at least somewhat do. Well, fine. Afterwards, someone just, yeah. He just went mentally thank it as, Well, some of the fireball would some be a lot easier to do, as it would be a single fireball, as once it hits something, it tended to obviously, rapidly expand. And yeah, so it kind of open up its size, and a few seconds later, somewhat you'd hear, or at least someone, we'd check around and call outside, or at least, they would. No, they would obviously be someone be saying stick around going Naruto. Naruto somewhat similarly revive, just somewhat in front from Pierre. As somewhat though to some of the others would be somewhat sometimes they'd go what he's a somewhat they'd go wide eyed as they would see his eyes slitted red somewhat, and they would go pale as they would realise they're up against Konoha's Jinchuriki, as they're somewhat, though Naruto would somewhat already be spinning through hands, though and as he'd somewhat taken a some breath, they'd go here, somewhat, he's the, though they wouldn't be able to sort of finish, as they'd be somewhat from what they'd just see, somewhat just as they'd somewhat say that, they'd be in hellish pain as somewhat deep fireball, well, not a complete fireball, and it shot to them. And while so similarly the normal fireball jutsu with Kuroma's, well, with chakra, somewhat with Kuroma's chakra. Of course, it being denser than, normal somewhat similarly chakra, it'd be somewhat about double the size and around about 10 or so times their strength, to such a degree that, or at least it'd be a lot stronger, to such a degree that if they could have somewhat seen it coming, or sort of spoke, or anything besides a scream, they somewhat, one of them somewhat sworn that he'd seen it momentarily be blue. And yeah, though as the screens would finally somewhat, after a few seconds, the screens would be all but gone, and yeah, Shikamaru and Sakura just, of course, puked at that and some of the smell. And yeah, Naruto would somewhat, that's thing, somewhat Kurama herself would have, thought that, at the very least, Naruto may have puked on that, but no. He would just somewhat turn around, still his somewhat unseemly ice cold somewhat eyes as he'd go. Now then, let's somewhat go and somewhat aid Sasuke. They would somewhat just not somewhat slow, somewhat nod as they both, Shikamaru and Sakura, would be somewhat surprised that, you could just, witness, you could just casually see them burn. And yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, though they would somewhat kind of, though Naruto would somewhat walk past, and they would somewhat follow, and yeah, though from for southward, of course, someone knows that Naruto would slightly, somewhat, would, somewhat slightly struggle that it did somewhat impact him. But yeah, he'd move, he'd just keep on, he'd somewhat push it to, the corner of his mind for right now. He's got more important things to do, as in saving Sasuke from the, one-tailed Jinchuriki. And yeah, so somewhat the three, or at least they would end up arriving. And yeah. And so somewhat similar to canon, well, or at least somewhat, well, yeah. Somewhat Naruto would, somewhat start the fight like canon. The only difference is that Sakura wouldn't get pinned somewhat into the tree, as Sasuke would manage to with Shikamaru there. At least somewhat, either Sasuke or Shikamaru themselves would be able to move Sakura out of the way and hit the, somewhat, at least hit the ground before they would be pinged to the pinned to the tree. And yeah, mainly someone was kind of someone slightly fussing over someone, Sasuke, and yeah, and in the middle of a fight of all things. But hey, she's a fangirl. What do you expect of this Sakura? This somewhat moment. And yeah. Anyway, though from there, well, yeah. So from that down to the story, and I end up, pushing the explosive tag. Yeah. So the or at least between the butt and the tail, loads to was detonate and all that, and yeah. Though, what somewhat would change would be that somewhat, of course, Gara, or at least somewhat Naruto or at least somewhat, of course, Gara wouldn't end up, somewhat catching, or at least, somewhat Naruto in they and simply coughing, or at least somewhat, no, as, or at least somewhat, Gara would end up, of course, letting out Shikaku like he did, and you'd end up doing the play possum jutsu to it. Well, yeah, Shikaku will go, yeah, I'm free, I'm finally free. And yeah, someone all kind of go up, and Naruto would just mentally, as they'd also go up, Naruto would just mentally curse. And yeah, and they'd somewhat kind of simply just sort of at Naruto as somewhat they'd all kind of like somewhat backed off, and Naruto was still where he was, and Shikamaru would go, would someone look over to Naruto and would someone ask him what they were, what we're gonna do now, to which Naruto would someone know the only thing he could do now was summon Gamabunta. So he'd somewhat, without even looking away from Shikaku, would tell them to somewhat get back. Yeah, those Shikaku would go, but we can't just get back now. Naruto would say as he'd go up and he'd bite his thumb. Yeah, and Pakun would somewhat see that and would realise that he's going to summon. And yeah. And so he'd somewhat Pakun himself would tell them to get back now and to give Naruto room. He's going to need it, and yeah. So I'd hearing it from there, and they would somewhat begrudge and they'd somewhat get back. And yeah, though what's he somewhat going to do? You're about to see as Naruto would run through the handstand, or at least he'd finish on through the handstand, so he'd slam his hand on to the somewhat bark of the tree as he'd simply look up to Shikaku as he'd yell out summoning jutsu. And yeah, or at least a second or two later, and of course this one could disappear, revealing Gamabunta. As someone Gamabunta would somewhat just shout, stare forward at Shikaku as he'd somewhat let out a sigh. What's with it, somewhat blondes and fighting tailed beasts? Naruto somewhat somewhat kind of nervous chakra, as of course Naruto know whom Gamabunta was referring to, Minato, and the 13 years ago in the Nine Tails attack, and yeah, they'd go. They'd somewhat ask though, do you think you could somewhat kind of beat him? Of course, I fought against Nine Tails. I lost my eye. So, though, I'll do my best, but Naruto somewhat nod, and of course from there, if I would once more relatively be similar, of course, the different thing in the Shonen was that. As we all know. But yeah. And yeah, as Naruto wasn't necessarily using the early somewhat Fox's chakra. Yeah, though, at least though, Gamabunta would somewhat though think I would go, but do you have any somewhat fire one? Before you could even somewhat ask, the Fox would just somewhat tell Naruto to just somewhat use my chakra brand. Yeah, somewhat getting a bit fed up with Naruto constantly asking. And yeah. Yeah, Gambunto just somewhat just nod. As somewhat Naruto would start running through the hand signs as Gambunto would sort of spit out and Gambunto would sort of, or at least he'd somewhat count down. Let's go 3, 2, 1. Somewhat Naruto and Gambunto, or at least somewhat Naruto would yell out, fire style, fireball, jutsu, and Gambunto would state, somewhat toad oil bullet. And yeah, somewhat they'd go and jump into what, as a twice the normal size, somewhat nearly blue, somewhat flamed, somewhat fireball hit into the toad, toad oil, which would of course make it, as they'd say, sort of then yell combination, sort style, flaming toad oil bullet. As it sort of forward, and while Shikaku would be somewhat momentarily stupid and would, somewhat believe his wind would be greater than the flaming toad somewhat oil bullet flying fast at him. So he'd somewhat, shoot a bullet of air, which would impact the toad oil bullet, but it would somewhat just be negative for him, as it would turn the hot flame into a blue burn, a just insanely hot blue flame, as the only other thing you could do was erect the wall, which the one else would do, Shikaku would do, and it would then somewhat cause impact. And yeah, though once the dust and that would settle down, just there'd be no wall there, they'd sort of look down and there'd just be molten glass, pretty much molten sand, or another just glass on the ground. And yeah, it was a bright blue flame, flaming toad oil bullet, so of course it would. And yeah, so from there, Sonic Gunboot would tell Naruto that to think of something with fangs and claws. Naruto would shut his eyes, he knew what to transform into, and he'd go, well, hope you don't mind. As I said, you just better beat him back. But, right, as Gunboot would yell out transform. And yeah, as the sort of others would be, sort of shot. The Ninetales. And yeah, and after a bit, Gunboot would be able to, obviously somewhat hold somewhat Shikaku down. All at the same time, Naruto was still using a small amount of some of the Fox's chakra, and so from there, after sort of releasing the transformation, Naruto sort of Gunboot sort or at least sort of Gunboot would sort of tell him somewhat, somewhat wake him up, to which Naruto would momentarily, or at least would sort of nod. And so he'd run his Fox's somewhat chakra, he'd direct it into his somewhat feet, and that does. And yeah, he'd of course shoot off. And yeah, a few somewhat seconds later, he'd be whacking somewhat shit, I forgot his name. Gara, somewhat in the sort of face, of course, Gara and somewhat wake up as Shikaku go, no, I just got here. No, and sort of yell out and yeah, some of the Shikaku obviously someone would start to crumble as Gara and someone would wake up kind of confused, sort of stunned, and like somewhat scared, annoyed, angry, and yeah, Gambit would state that he's going to go now, to which Naruto would kind of remind him to take along his sword. He'd sort of nod, he'd go, right, he'd grab onto his sword and disappear as they'd fall to, sort of a tree, and after a few seconds, they'd somewhat go to the ground. And from there, as Naruto would walk towards him, Gaara would sort of kind of, be scared to, sort of walk backwards. And when not really walk backwards, he'd kind of go backwards. And yeah, right Naruto would tell him what he did in canon. And yeah, of course, from there, his Gaara's brother and sister, Tamara and Kanko, would arrive and they would go off to fight, not to fight, to go back sooner. And yeah, though the rest would sort of land out, by Naruto. Of course, Naruto being somewhat more used to the Francis chakra, wouldn't put somewhat as much as a drain on him than it did in canon, though he'd still be very tired and somewhat, and yeah, aching. Yeah, Sasuke would sort of ask if it was or at least would someone say if it was a smart move to it. Naruto would just, or at least would, Sasuke would sort of, they would sort of ask Naruto if they should go after them, to which Naruto would shake his head, and that they've got more pressing issues back in village, to which they would nod, and just as they'd somewhat turn around, as the Sand siblings would be at the site now, somewhat they would see or at least they would see some running and they would cause heads up, all somewhat getting ready. Now to Laris groaned, though he'd pick up kunai and that, and yeah, though not Iruka, Shikamaru now his eyes as he'd go sensei. And yeah, it's not the patch would slow down as you'd go. Thank Kami, you're fine when I saw the wind house. I tried to get in as fast as possible. They would somewhat nod and, yeah, that was understandable. They would all now sigh. They'd all put that kunai away and they'd walk back with them. With them, and yeah. Though you wouldn't really ask what happened, as you could tell they had been, they'd gone through one similarly, or at least Sasuke and similarly Naruto looked like they'd gone through one hell of a fight, and yeah, of course, somewhat, it wouldn't necessarily have too much of an impact on Sakura, besides from seeing Naruto kill people. Though it would on Shikamaru, as he realised that he was useless. What good was his mind? He somewhat froze up when, the One Tails, came out. When Gaara let out the One Tails, he froze up. Naruto was the only one that just didn't care that, he killed people without even simply budging, and then they go up against the One Tails, and yeah, you'd realise that you'd have to, he's if he wants to, if he really wants to, follow somewhat similarly his dream, of just having a similarly simple life, well, he's gonna have to get stronger, protect his family and his future family, and as feeling of just being useless. He didn't want to feel it again. He wanted to be able to not only be able to plan fights, but also be in the fight itself. And yeah, he didn't want to feel this useless again, and he'd also realised that without Ino and Choji, he was useless. And so Ino could somewhat fight, and of course a mind transfer jutsu, and somewhat Choji, could somewhat quite easily fight by himself, and that he couldn't. What did he have besides the ability to control somewhat, some shadows and that? Yeah, it was great and all, but yeah, he had to get stronger and that, and yeah, and so yeah, though as they sort of arrive back in sort of kind of Konoha, and Anbu sort of drop down and somewhat, and yeah, though the Anbu looked somewhat, though they all couldn't sort of necessarily figure out why, but Anbu simply seemed sad and yeah, as somewhat go. So I'm sorry to report this, but Hokage-sama is dead. To sort of be surprised and Naruto would be shocked. You're joking, right? Naruto somewhat, but sort of say slightly somewhat broken. The Anbu would sort of look at Naruto and would just shake his head. No, he's dead. He's yeah. Though that would sort of go cried as he could just he could believe it, and yeah. Yeah. Damn it. I forgot his name. Damn it. So the Asuma would. Asuma, whatever. He'd somewhat dismiss them to its, Sakura, of course, Sasuke had Shikamaru would stay with, Sensei Asuma, and Naruto would somewhat very much head on home and Packer and state that he'd, go and kind of tell Kakashi to it. Asuma would somewhat nod, and yeah, from there it would just be him and and after as they somewhat walk out, Shikamaru would ask if or would somewhat, or at least after somewhat staying in, the company of one another for a few, a minute or so, somewhat Shikamaru would ask if Asuma could start training him. Asuma would crack an eyebrow and go, "What do you mean? I've had a lot somewhat harder. I sort of felt somewhat useless as it somewhat revealed to Asuma that the bodies the somewhat simply dead of burn corpses was Naruto's doing. Not only that, but Naruto had also killed a person before that, and then also single-handedly went up against the One-Tails and defeated it. Well, after summoning Gunbund, and yeah, though he'd sort of nod, and Asuma would sort of realize that Naruto was definitely potentially going to be promoted to Chunin, if not potentially special Jonin. Like that, Naruto he killed and he didn't waver, he sort of had, the mission goal in mind, to defeat, the One-Tails and Cherokee, and yeah. Anyway, though, from there, they started to put a hand on Shikamaru and he'd sort of tell him, just, well, of course, though, maybe in a week's time or that, those Shikamaru would sort of nod, he'd nod, and yeah, he'd go though, for now, going home. Yeah, Shikamaru would sort of nod as he'd, say goodbye to his sensei as he'd, go off, and yeah. From that though, of course, Naruto would arrive home and or at least, yeah, he'd sort of arrive home in the sunshine, managing to sneak into an alleyway in sunshine and over. Yeah, so after unlocking his front door and that, he'd just gone straight into his bedroom and he'd just sort of curl up as silent tears would kind of run down his face as he couldn't believe it. The bird was dead. Yeah, the sort of old man, his grandfather figure was dead. It was hard for him to believe not only believe that, but yeah. And yeah. And so, yeah, so after a few seconds, or at least after, well, yeah, some few seconds, he'd somewhat seemingly find himself in front of the cage of the nine-tailed fox. And just kind of standing there, and you just feel sort of dead, defeated. What was less what left. He wasn't thinking clearly. The one person who he cared about the most was dead now. And yeah, and so as such, he just kind of somewhat. Fox was just somewhat looking at Naruto, and yeah, heck, she's trying to somewhat kind of figure out in her own mind why the hell she brought Naruto into his mind, of all things, why the hell was she concerned for this human? This wasn't like her. And yeah. Though, and would somewhat just stand there, she just somewhat stare at, somewhat to him. They finally somewhat Naruto would somewhat look up, and instead of seeing either cold, ice blue eyes, or somewhat, defiant or joyful filled eyes, or that, or yeah, or ones of somewhat suspicion, or that, just ones of dead eyes. She'd seen those eyes before. A slightly different, of course, colour, that being violet, but nevertheless, she'd seen those sort of eyes when a person just gives up, seemingly on life, that being, of course, Kushner. And yeah, though, and they somewhat momentarily have a flashback of that sort where somewhat she, where, she'd, it's taken over, Kushner's sort of body when seemingly Kushner would regain sort of confidence, with Minato, being there, calling something out, and then, trying to somewhat, wrap it around with chains, and it not seemingly working. When, Minato would all of a sudden, appear, and a few seconds later, the terrible shot, seemingly somewhat, all is being created and somewhat shot at him, and Minato with the Rasengan. And yeah, and as that would seemingly, and similarly as the Telbeast ball would blow, somewhat to, or at least somewhat to, fade similarly back to sort of Naruto, and yeah, as somewhat Naruto just sort of tell her to just kill him, take over his body, just whatever, I just wanted to die. And yeah, she'd go, oh, sort of, really, is that true? So, oh, there's Naruto would go, because there's no, what else there is to live for? What about the others that care about you? Do you? Some small similar argument as Naruto trying to argue for the Fox to take over his body, and if it was any other time something before that, it would be and she'd be in that mental crisis, like, why the hell is she trying to, why the hell am I trying to convince him to not for him to not hand his body over? Why that, why somehow I've, trying to convince him otherwise? It would be racking her mind and complete and utter confusion. And yeah, as an, unknown deep, deep down, sort of kind of instinct was somewhat in play at the very moment, and yeah. She'd somewhat fall onto an idea where she'd shake her somewhat. She wouldn't believe it. Somewhat I'd care for him. Yeah, right. All humans are the same. Yeah. Though that would somewhat just simply sort of finally just break down on the ground, crying, actually crying with somewhat deep sound and all, not just silent. She'd somewhat sigh as a single tail would go round and would somewhat kind of wrap somewhat around him, as he'd somewhat just cry. And yeah, so just mentally somewhat groan, but yeah. So though after somewhat seemingly a bit of time, now or at least somewhat with the sniffling now somewhat started to come to an end, should somewhat, or at least somewhat a tail would seemingly somewhat, or at least somewhat don't wrap around him, and that would somewhat look at the fox, and yeah, he just somewhat looked down, and he just didn't know really somewhat what to say, and he just somewhat go, well, just thanks, don't mention it, just still fun. I mean it, Brad, don't mention it to anyone, got it? And afterwards, somewhat kind of blink, though he'd somewhat kind of nod. And to be honest, he'd somewhat kind of slightly still, at least with tears somewhat starting to drop, he'd kind of rub back with his head as he'd somewhat say, believe me, the great nine-tailed fox, concern for me, a human. Yeah, they just think I've gone insane. Should somewhat snort. That was probably correct, but still, better not, just in case they do believe. But yeah. Anyway, though, from that, though, somewhat Nato would kind of get up and do somewhat, somewhat, or at least though, should somewhat, though, somewhat you'd want to somewhat leave her, though, but somewhat, why? This sensei is going to be at your front door. Afterwards, something blink and he'd go, just leave and don't tell anyone, or else, got it? And after he'd go once more and he'd nod as he'd somewhat leave, and yeah, from there he'd somewhat go to, he'd somewhat go and open up the door, to which he'd go, sensei, to which Kakashi'd, well, he'd sort of ask if he could come in. Nato would somewhat nod as he'd step aside. Cash would walk in and would go into the sort his living room. His Nato would shut and lock the door as they would somewhat, and yeah, they would somewhat go, and somewhat Nato would somewhat ask kind of why somewhat kind of here, to which Kakashi sighs. He'd go, I've come here to explain two things. The first thing, why someone wasn't there to kind of watch the fight, and I kind of wanted to, Naruto. If you did, then Naruto, I did. You'd say somewhat kind of much, or at least somewhat voiced out, somewhat kind of making that somewhat point out. It's just somewhat Sasuke, somewhat to argue, he's trying to argue with me that he wanted a simply flashy entrance, and that and before, and yeah, so how you can somewhat beat, which afterwards someone look down, he'd nod, as he'd somewhat mentally just say arrogant jackass, somewhat jack, and yeah, and secondly, somewhat doing, or at least somewhat the, somewhat doing the, somewhat, or at least the somewhat tail, the preliminaries when I released the somewhat, or at least the, yeah, that's some of the seal from the, seal holding back the, or at least around the a trigram seal that holds back the 9 tails inside of you. That I sort of mentioned about something, or at least a person called somewhat Kushina, and afterwards sort of nod, I would go, what does it sort of matter, somewhat to me, to me as who's still trying to process the fact that Fusion was dead, was dead. And somewhat because it matters it matters to you somewhat a lot. And the reason why now is because Kushina is your mother. That would go, what? And the fox would just mentally groan and would somewhat I mean, somewhat. Yeah, so somewhat mentally think, here we go again. Yeah, someone with Naruto potentially crying, and yeah, Kakashi starts signed. Yeah, he'd go by the full name is Kushino Uzumaki, and you're wondering why on earth, someone chuckled. You after you someone your mother's last name instead of potentially your father's, because well, your mother's from a dead clan. I'm from a Naruto dead clan. Somewhat, your mum had somewhat, or at least it was about a month or two, somewhat after your mum came to Konoha, when somewhat your clan, somewhat, or by your home, or at least somewhat Uzugakure, the homeland of the Uzumaki clan, was attacked and destroyed. And, yeah, Naruto had somewhat got wide-eyed, and to somewhat my knowledge and to the rest of, and to somewhat Konoha's knowledge, you're the last Uzumaki alive, Naruto. And yeah, Naruto would be surprised, somewhat shocked, and yeah, and from there, Kakashi would somewhat talk, somewhat more, and yeah, about roughly, somewhat what, his kind of interactions with somewhat Kushina, and who he kind of believed who Kushina was. And the fact that he was also somewhat a guard during a time where he'd somewhat pretty much had lost, his two teammates. And yeah, during the, third somewhat the third Shinobu somewhat World War, and somewhat how, kind of afterwards how he went from, or at least how he ended up going into the Onbu, and how the or at least somewhat Bullfighter had assigned him to kind of, somewhat watch over kind of Kushina, as Kushina, though somewhat your mum was at that time also the Nine-Tails Cherokee. And yeah, there's so much, you'd go on to explain that, having, the Nine-Tails ripped out of you generally is an instant kill, though, or at least generally die the second it's pulled out of you, though you'd say that, or at least the Uzumaki clan and Uzugakure in the whole kind of got another, or at least a nickname called the, or at least something the Uzumaki clan got kind of the something nicknamed the sort of clan of longevity, as they tend to live, kind of tend to live a long time. And yeah, even though you're only half Uzumaki, you could easily outlive all of us, potentially. And yeah, and well, yeah, so they'd, it'd continue somewhat to somewhat talk for a while, though finally after an hour or so, Kakashi would sort of leave, with Naruto kind of sort of thanking him for telling him who his mother was, though someone asked who his father was, to which Kakashi would doing, something that Naruto would ask who his father was, to which Kakashi would state that was kind of, would have to be sort of a secret, though Naruto would sort of look down, he'd someone clench his fist, though Kakashi would state that, his father had enemies, to which he'd state, of course, some mother did as well, though he'd go, so Naruto, your father had many, I mean many enemies, I mean enough to somewhat have, enough that, the second, if people knew who your father was, they would hunt you down immediately and kill you, Naruto. You would have to be at the very least Jonin to learn whom your father was. And the safest bet would be you becoming an S-rank shinobi. And yeah, Naruto would be surprised at that. Of course, that was a very high ceiling, very, somewhat strong. And yeah, he'd sort of nod, and yeah. Anyway, though, from there, though, about 3 days later, the somewhat the father guy's funeral would happen. That would go down like in canon. Nothing would change there. And yeah, of course, from there, Jiraiya would, all these Jiraiya would kind of talk to Naruto, and Naruto would would sort of tell he'd rather train and that though. Guy, all these sort of why should, try and, why should go with him to, go get, Tsunade. Yeah, though after all, you can really promise Naruto to kind of train him or give him a jutsu, as Naruto already knew the Rasengan, and yeah, the only really thing he could really do was give Naruto at least that sort of period to, try and get it down to a single hand. And yeah, though he'd tell Naruto that it would do him some good to kind of get out of Konoha, Naruto would sort of go, trust me, somewhat kid, it's really somewhat, it would do you some good to get out of Konoha. It would allow you to kind of clear your mind, to say, a lot better. So he'd sort of sigh, and he'd go, you're not going to, he'd sigh. Yeah, he'd somewhat go, okay, just, he'd go, good, meet me by the gate, and or at least stay there now and pack for a month. Okay. Yeah, but what about, I've already got permission from Kakashi. Naruto would just nod, and so from there, an hour later, Naruto would meet once more up with Jiraiya, and this time they'd leave Konoha to go bring back Tsunade Senju. And with that, I'm going to end this part here, guys. So if you have enjoyed this part, do tell me in the comments down below, and of course, if you want part 4, do say, guys. And hope you guys have a good day or somewhat night. Hope you guys have a good day or night, depending on wherever you are and whenever you watch this. And good bye. Good bye.